Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another season of Rob the Mic. First off, I want to thank you guys so much for all the love on the 2-year episode. It was something that was really special, really important, and I was kind of nervous to put it out there because I didn't know how it was going to go, even the whole recording process, which was a feat in itself, because I don't know if you guys caught that, but Albert and I had recorded the episode previously, and I wasn't happy with certain things about the episode. I think it was a little too candid. And there were certain things, again, that I want to respect my own privacy, my own life. And there are certain things I'm not fully comfortable sharing yet. Not that I'm not comfortable with you guys, because of course I like to keep the veil dropped on the show. But I do think there's certain things that I have to hold close. And there was certain things that were shared on that episode or on the taping of that episode that once it was all said and done, I felt super heavy. And I was like, you know what? This isn't it. This isn't it. So coming back and recording it again for the second time, I was pretty nervous that time, but it all worked out. And I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it because honestly, it's probably one of my favorite episodes. And not to say that, the other ones don't have the same weight, but I think there's something about this one with how far the show has come, the content that gets talked about on the show. It meant that much more. And especially having Albert be a part of that and him getting to ask me certain questions. And it was rad. The overall experience was rad. And I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it as well. So thank you guys for sticking around for the last 2 years. And hopefully I can keep you guys around for another 2 years and that this project can grow into something even more amazing than what it already is. Because I feel like it is growing into something pretty incredible. And actually, a fun little fact. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday when I posted on my Instagram, but I actually just expanded into TikTok. I posted my first TikTok yesterday, and it feels weird jumping into that space because it's not that I was so against it, but I was like, oh man, like I don't need another platform. But I was trying to think of the actual podcast and like what the podcast needs, and it needs exposure. I need to get the word out. I need to continue talking about certain things and growing the audience as much as possible. And I feel like not like Instagram and stuff like that, not like those aren't places that it can grow, because of course it can, but I feel like the concentration might be a little bit different on TikTok. So we'll see how that journey goes. I'm not 100% sure yet. I literally just started yesterday. Today I'll be posting another one, and I'm going to try and post every single day on there, at least with the content that I've had created in the past. So we'll see how that goes. Wish me luck. But overall, again, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you guys for coming along for this journey. Thank you for being here, for standing, supporting, and giving me all of your love, everything. Like it really means the world, you guys. And for today's episode, it's going to be a little bit different because I'm finally getting to do something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And I know on quite a few of the episodes, I always ask, like, if you guys have anything you want me to talk about, or if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything, please don't hesitate to hit me up. And it finally happened. And don't get me wrong, throughout the episodes and throughout certain things, there are certain conversations that get had that will influence me to talk about certain things on certain episodes. But this episode is driven by a listener. And I'm really excited about that. Because a listener came to me. I would reveal their name, but I'd rather respect their privacy because of certain things that I'm going to be talking about. And I'm not trying to put them on blast in any way, but they came to me in confidence and saying, hey, like, I know you've kind of touched on this, but would you mind really talking about it? I was like, of course, I'd love that. And what was cool about it is basically the subject is acceptance. And it's such a broad subject. So I'm like, damn, dude, like I have to figure out ways, like bullet points on like what to talk about within acceptance and like ways to accept things and all of this. So basically what I ended up doing is I narrowed it down to 5 things. Self-acceptance and the realm of like personal growth, acceptance in relationships, accepting change in general, the acceptance of mental health issues, and the acceptance of failure. Because as I was trying to think and I was trying to go through these points, I was like, what are things that are really important that can be kind of generalized, and then I can like hone in on certain things, And these were the 5 that I came down to. So hopefully throughout this episode, it gives you guys something to pull from. Because I feel like these things, at least for me, they mean a lot. And I've had experience with all of these, every single one of these, whether it's with myself, with other people, like really the entire subject for these 5 really hit home. And I also get to bring in something again from a listener. And one of these areas is going to get focused on a little bit more. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. I want to try this new format out and let's see how it goes. And again, hopefully in the future, I can continue to do this. So if those of you who are listening and or watching, if there's something that you want me to talk about, please reach out. Feel free, because I can do exactly what I'm doing right now, build an episode around it or bring in certain things and maybe kind of touch on it here and there. But I would love to continue to build episodes around things that you guys are really interested in, because as much as this show is about me and it's a very selfish thing, it's not just about me. It's about things that I experience and what I endure and how that can help you guys, right? Because I feel like this is a journey for the both of us. We're both walking hand in hand. And even though I might be talking about certain things, certain subjects do hit harder. And for certain people who need that, I'd rather push towards that. So what is it that you guys need, right? That's what I'm here for. I want to talk about all the things. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I want to touch on is the subject of self-acceptance, personal growth, because I think that journey is one of the most difficult ones to go through. And there's so many facets of it. I think even just the self-acceptance in itself, body image, self-esteem, self-worth, it's like, where do you start? Where do you go? We all deal with it in different ways. And it's hard to even start on that, but I wanted to start on this one because I feel like it is the most difficult to a certain extent. For myself, I dealt with all of these things, from like body image, self-esteem issues, self-worth, all of that. Right now, I would say the biggest thing that I'm having to kind of work through is accepting myself for where I'm at right now in my life and kind of regaining my self-esteem and my self-worth. Because it's not that I didn't feel that I was worthy of anything, but I think with my journey, especially through love, it's put me in a certain mental space. And I'm having to walk backwards to then walk forward, if that makes sense. And for those of you who have listened and who've been pretty consistent with these episodes, like, exactly what I'm talking about. So it's just, and I've even talked about it, or I talked about it in the 2-year episode. So I'm having to find my footing once again of being on my own and kind of working through pain and working through the issues that I have with myself. But every single day, I'm starting to accept myself more and more and more incrementally and understand that my emotions are valid and it's okay to feel the way that I do. And I shouldn't feel bad about that because it's how I feel. I can't apologize for how I feel. It's not my fault. It's just, those are my feelings. If I feel sad right now, I feel sad. If I don't want to interact with people, I don't want to interact. And it's things of that nature, and that's okay. And in the past, I've dealt with body image for sure. I had a period of time where I was overweight, especially when I was a lot younger, like before high school. But that was a really, really rough time, and I hated that. Like, it was a really horrible time. And I've talked about it before on the show. But I think going through that amount of like teasing and just bullying and everything around that whole stem fucked everything up for me. But it also put me on a different path. And I was able to kind of, put time into myself and work out and take care of the way that I ate and all these things. I started doing sports at that time and started getting, fit, I guess you could say. And ever since that point, I gained a different love for myself, at least on the body image side. And I feel, not that I feel very confident with the way that I look, like physically, because of course we could always improve. Always. I think any and all of us, we could always do whatever we want to do to make ourselves look better, to make ourselves feel better. But ultimately, it's a personal thing, right? Like, if we are comfortable with who we are in the skin that we're in right now, then shit else matters. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what society thinks about that. Like, the body image that you have is the only thing that matters is how you see yourself. And again, right now, I'm happy with where I'm at. Could I be more fit? Of course, for sure. Could I get more active? Yes. And honestly, I'm working on that. I'm starting to reignite that part of myself. And thankfully I have some friends that are also kind of doing the same thing. So it helps me to like walk with them on this path, because I know if I was to do it by myself, I'd let it go by the wayside. But I want to build these different facets of my life once again, because I need to gain that. I need to gain that self-worth. I need to have that self-esteem and get that back, because it's not that it's gone, but I kind of let certain things go. And now that I'm on my own and I'm alone, I'm all that I have. I know I have my friends and I know I have my family who will listen to me and who are here for me and who are walking with me through this journey. But at the end of the day, it's like we've discussed before, we're all going to bed alone. Even if somebody is next to you, you're in your head, you're in your thoughts. And I need to get to a place where I'm healthy. And a part of getting to that place is accepting where I am in this exact moment. And I have to accept, and once again, swallow these really difficult pills, that I am alone, that I am not in a relationship, that the person that I love with every ounce of me isn't in my life right now. And I have to accept that I'm not happy, that I'm sad, and that I'm fucked up about it. And that's okay. It's okay to do that. And I was almost not like ashamed, but I had this, I don't even know how to fully explain it. I had like a very weird feeling toward myself about it, for feeling the way that I did. But I realize as I'm walking through this, if I just accept it for what it is, if I accept my feelings for what they are and just kind of sit in them for a while, it's okay. And I start to have like comfort in that. And I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know how long this journey is going to be. I don't know what it's going to entail. I mean, this past weekend for myself was insanely hard. Insanely hard. I didn't want to be anywhere. It was weird. Like, I wanted to be with people, but I didn't want to be with people. I wanted to talk about shit, but I didn't want to talk about shit. Like, I pushed myself to leave the house on Saturday, and I was in a bad spot. Like, mentally, I was not in a good spot at all. But I pushed myself to get out of the house, to go spend some time with friends. And this isn't their fault in any way, shape, or form. But I didn't want to be there. I had to push myself to get out to go see these people. And I'm glad that I did, because I got to see a buddy of mine that was in town from the East Coast. But it, like, my head wasn't there. And I'm like, man, but at a certain point in the night, I just accepted it. I accepted that I felt sad. I accepted that I didn't want to be there. And that brought me like this weird sense of peace. So I'm trying to work on that for myself. And like that I have to learn to slowly let go of certain things, at least for the time being, so that I can find peace, even if it's for that day. So trying to be gentle. And it's a part of my personal growth. And I know a lot of you who are listening and or watching right now, you can probably relate to a certain extent and say, shit, like, honestly, I've dealt with the same thing, or I've gone through certain things, or I feel similar in that way. I feel like once you start to get on this path of self-acceptance and you start to realize the difficulty, it like humbles you in a weird way, because you kind of say, okay, well, this is, it's bigger than me, and it's okay that it's bigger than me, but here we are, and this is all I can do right now. So I'm going to just continue to walk forward. Even if it's very, very small steps, I'm going to continue to walk forward on this self-esteem and trying to get to a place where I'm happy and feel better about myself and what I deserve, what I'm worth. And that, especially in the love department, right? Because that's been a really big struggle for me as of late, that somebody will appreciate me for who I am, what I have to offer, the type of things that I bring to the table. It's every day having to talk to myself and accept those things. It's just really tough. It's really tough, but I'm trying to be patient. And again, I know a lot of you listening and watching are probably in the same boat, and you're saying the same thing to yourself. So I think it's like one of the hardest things to discuss, I think, within this realm, is just, again, the self-acceptance, the personal growth, but also the importance of those journeys. And that sometimes you really have to push through those thorn bushes in order to get to the other side of something that's really incredible. And maybe sometimes you bleed, maybe sometimes it just hurts and it's painful, but it's a part of the growing process, right? Or what you can call, I guess, like growing pains per se, because you're starting to transform. Things are starting to change up, but you have to accept those things. You have to accept the change. You have to accept where the universe is putting you and what is happening in your life. Because I think when you surrender to that, that's when things start to shift up. Because it goes back to what we've talked about in the past, right? Where it's fighting the current. Like, why are you fighting it so hard? There's a certain point in time that you just kind of have to give in and let the water take you somewhere, because honestly, it's probably not as bad as you think it is. And maybe where the water is actually trying to take you is where you need to be. But you're sitting there trying to plant your feet and you're so stuck in the current moment, in the current feeling, and you can't let it go. You can't get out of it. And it's really holding you back. It's really holding you back. So again, this journey for myself of being on this new acceptance journey is pushing me in every which way. And I do feel to a certain extent that I am going to grow, because I feel like things are already changing. Things are already shifting, even in the way that I spend my time with people, the way that I talk to people, where I put my time, where I put my energy. I see the importance in like so many things that I didn't see before. And it's not that I didn't see them, but I guess I really didn't acknowledge them the same way. And I think with the grieving process that I've been going through for multiple reasons, right? With the deaths that I've been facing, because I've had multiple in the last few months. I even had one this morning, which is rough and shit. I hate it. But going through these grieving process of losing people and losing people that are still alive on the romantic front, it's helping me grow. It's helping me grow. It's pushing me. It's helping me to understand myself, how to understand people, how to understand life. And that we may not have control, and we actually don't have control of everything that goes down. And we can only deal with what's in front of us, and that's it. Doesn't matter what you plan for, doesn't matter what you do. There's a certain point that you have to surrender. And I think a part of that surrender is surrendering and accepting what it is, because it will help you grow in the future. So I think that's a really important one. The next one that I want to talk about is what was inspired by a listener. And it was the acceptance in relationships. And this goes in multiple ways, right? Like, it's not just romantic, but I am going to talk about romantic, talk about family, talk about friendships. I think talking about the differences between people, forgiveness, building strong connections. And I think the hardest one, which is what I'm currently dealing with, is forcefully having to move on when you don't want to, when you're not ready. Because it turns into like, and it is what it is situation. And it's shit. Like, I hate that. I hate that phrase in general, because it sucks. It's trash, because it's true. Like, whatever is going on, like, it is exactly what it is. There's nothing else behind it. There's nothing else around it. If someone passed away, they passed away. You know, it is what it is. If someone broke up with you or something like that, it is what it is. If you lost a friendship over something dumb, there's a certain point that it hits that, right? It's like an it is what it is situation. So yeah, I don't want to make this whole segment about that, but I think that phrase in itself is very problematic, and it sucks. I hate having to face it. But I think the acceptance within all of these types of relationships, again, whether it's romantic, family, friendships, I think it's tough because they all have different levels, right? Whether it's with our parents, having to accept certain things that we've had to face together, maybe the way that they are, that's really tough. So, and I think that ties in with like differences and forgiveness at the same time, because maybe your mom or dad raised you a certain way and you hold something against them. There's a difference, right? Because they were raised a certain way and they thought that that was the best thing for you, and maybe it wasn't. So you have to kind of walk around and tiptoe the idea of forgiveness, but it's not always easy. I think that piggybacks on to building a strong connection, right? Because you need to be able to have that faith and that love in the relationship where you can come to this person and say, hey, XYZ, like I'm not okay with. I've never been okay with, or it makes me feel a certain way. And you guys can walk through these differences, maybe come to a point of forgiveness and build a stronger connection because of that. And this goes across all three of those, again, romantic, familial, and friendships. And I think especially on the romantic front, it hits a certain way. I think it really hits a certain way because there are so many things that we look for in a romantic partner that we try to find not the same person, but we try and find this like idealized version of people, or like we have this idealized version. But I think a lot of us need to just see people for what they are. And I think that's what kind of fucks up the whole dating game, right? Because we have this idea of what they could be. But in reality, people always show you who they are. They always show you who they are. There's signs, there's little things right from the very beginning, right? The flags that, the red flags show up and you're kind of like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Those things become really big. And that's where you start to develop major differences. And then you kind of start to hold it against that person. And it's tough when you get to a certain level to be able to walk back and forgive. And I think it furthers your connection. It doesn't build anything. I think it pushes you two further apart. Like your magnets are literally just hitting and it's sending you in opposite directions. Having to walk through these differences, accept the person for who they are, I think it puts you on a further path to get to somewhere really beautiful, because the connection that you end up developing then is really strong. And I think it goes the same way with family. It goes the same thing with friendships. But I think the hardest out of all of those is that last part, or not what I was just talking about before, that it is what it is, which is forcefully having to move on when you're not ready. And this can be talked about in multiple ways, whether it's being ghosted, whether it's a breakup, whether things just kind of faded out. You have to really sit there with it. And it's like, well, I don't have another choice. Like, again, for myself, I can speak from experience with certain things, especially with my recent, I don't have a choice. Right now, at this point in time, at this exact day, at this time, I have to just walk forward. Because if not, I'll sit here with it and it's going to just fucking ruin me the way it's been. And even though I continue to walk forward, a lot of the times I stumble back. Because, again, I had a certain understanding of a relationship, and it ended up going the complete opposite way that I wasn't planning for. Like, fully blindsided. But I have to move forward. I've experienced this with friends as well. I had a friend of mine that I was, cool with since grade school, dude, since like second grade. Certain things transpired and we ended up going our separate ways. And for me, that's a perfect example of like, it is what it is, because that's exactly what it was. Like it is what it is. You went this way. I went this way. I felt disrespected to a certain extent. I know she felt disrespected to a certain extent with certain things. We came to a certain understanding. We ended, not ended, but I guess like things came to like a peaceful close to a certain extent. And we just kind of went our separate ways, living our lives. But it's shit. It's shit. It's just as bad. I'm not gonna say just as bad. I guess it depends how deep the connection is, but it can be just as bad, because I couldn't imagine experiencing something like that with like my closer friends, like Albert, Yessie, Jay, Sabrina, like those people mean so much to me. And I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it, having a situation where something like that would happen and having to just accept it for what it is. I think it goes back to the first thing, and it shows you and it helps you grow as a person when you're faced with these things. It puts you in situations that you are forced to grow. You are forced to learn. You're forced to understand. And I think it's kind of like when you're in school, like you don't want to be there and it sucks, but you show up every day. And sometimes, depending on the subject or whatever's going on, whatever's being taught, certain things stick with you. I think this is one of those things that ends up sticking with you, because these experiences that you will endure, they're helping you to grow, and they teach you that self-acceptance. And there's nothing more that you can get from life than learning. I think every day you're learning something, even if it's small, even if you may not realize it. And being put in situations where you're having to accept, again, differences, having to deal with forgiveness, having to not even having to, but building a stronger connection and what that takes and the work that it actually takes. Because building strong connections don't just happen. You can have a strong connection with someone right off the bat, because I've had that before. But just because you have that connection then, it doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. It takes work on both ends. You have to build a strong foundation. And building that foundation, I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, aren't willing to put in the work. Whether it's for friendships, romantic, family, anything like that, people are no longer putting in the work. And I know, again, because we've talked about it multiple times, and I talked about it on the 2-year, I think especially on the love front, it's not happening anymore. And it's sad because it's like, damn, dude, like, I know values are changing. I know things are changing, but there's certain things that you need to know and believe in and have faith in, that the love that you have and the love that you have to give should be valued. And that the person that's also on the other side of this, whether it's a friend, family, or romantic person or romantic partner, they should also be wanting to put in the work too, because you can't carry you can't carry it all on your own. Everything that's one-sided is never sustainable, because you can only carry the weight for so long. Being faced with these things, I know, are really difficult. They're really, really difficult. And being forced to do anything or accept anything is really shit. And I hope that for those of you who are experiencing this right now, I hope that you find some sort of peace. I hope that you may not get all the answers that you're looking for, and that's okay. Because I know for myself, that's something I'm kind of working through, that I may not get the closure that I want. I may not get the answers that I need, but it's okay. You still walk forward. You walk forward slowly, but I promise you get somewhere. Eventually you will get somewhere. It's something that I stay working on in therapy. It's something that I stay working on outside of it as well. I think it's a major part of my self-work journey. So we'll see where I end up. We will see. But I know for those of you, again, I hope that these experiences pass quickly, and that through these experiences passing, I hope that you can learn something about it. And I think one of the next major ones is accepting change and how we cope with it. The importance of accepting that, and the acceptance in adapting to a new circumstance. And this could cover multiple things too, right? I know even as I'm saying it, you guys are probably thinking, oh, this could be like this, like this, like this. And it's true, because it could go career changes, simple as moving, major life events, things like that, and having to kind of accept what it is that's going on. And I think like a major one that I've had to deal with lately, which I touched on briefly not too long ago, is talking about death. I've had multiple deaths in my life in the last, what are we in right now? October. So like July, August, September. So in the last 3 months, I've experienced multiple deaths, and it's trash. Like I've had 4, but I have to accept the situations for what they are. My uncle Alfred, losing him to cancer, I didn't have any say in that. Nobody had a say in that. The doctors didn't have a say. Things just happened. Things went south really quick, and he was gone. He was here one day and he was gone the next. Same thing with my aunt who passed. Everyone knew it was coming, but she was here and then not here. Same thing with Waxer. He was here and then he wasn't. I didn't have a choice in that. No one had a choice in that. This morning, I lost another one of my uncles, my Uncle Carlos, which is my grandpa's brother. And he was probably the one that I spent the most time with growing up, and probably had the coolest relationship with. He's a really, really great guy. Lost him to cancer, and it spread like wildfire, and it took him out. He was here one day and then gone the next. So having to accept those things is, man, it's shit. It's shit. Like I don't know how else to explain that, but I have to take it for what it is. And then, like I've been talking about throughout this episode, having to accept the fact that the person that I love and that I care for the most is no longer in my life for reasons outside of my own. And I have to accept it for what it is right now. I don't have another choice. But how would you say, feeling put into a corner, it kind of forces you to turn around and kind of look at everything around you and say, okay, well, where do I walk now? What path do I find from here? Because accepting all of these things that are happening and like understanding them is what's going to help me walk forward. So it helps me, it gives me peace of mind knowing that the further that I accept certain things, that it will help me to grow as a person. So, and I think on top of all those other things too, I'm having to accept, career changes and family changes with my friends. Cause again, all of those things are shifting. Everything is shifting. And it's a lot at the same time. A lot of the times it ends up being too much and I just kind of shut down. But it's so important to just kind of take those things for what they are. Because I think there's massive lessons that are hidden behind those things. They teach us patience. They teach us understanding. They teach us love. And I know even for that last one, you're probably like, well, how does accepting this change teach you love? I think it teaches you love in the sense that like you can love yourself through any of these things that hit you. And that you have so much light and so much understanding within you that it's able to help you walk forward. And that you can also help other people walk forward. Because I know for myself, I've learned a lot of patience. And my appreciation for everything is like very, very different. Because again, having people be there one day and gone the next is weird. It's very, very weird. Feels all of a sudden, I don't like it. I don't like that change. It bothers me. But it also triggers a lot of my abandonment issues. Because I do have them. And again, I know I've talked about them before and it's something I'm continuously working through in therapy. I hate that. I hate that feeling of being abandoned. It's just really ugly. It takes me back to an ugly place, going back to when I was a kid. And even experiencing it as an adult is it's horrible. It's shit to feel like 7 years old again and just being like, dang, I know this feeling far too well. And that's something that nobody should experience. But accepting the new circumstances and kind of taking the light of it, I think it helps you light your path a little bit. So you can stay in it and it'll stay dark forever. Because you're not accepting it. You're just sitting in it. You're wallowing in it. And we have to walk forward. We have to. Eventually there hits a point where you have to walk forward. It's almost like there's a dark wall behind you, but it's also pushing you forward. And eventually you're going to cross into the light. Like eventually it's going to push you into a place where you can no longer see dark, And that's, I feel like you could have a whole episode on that in itself. But I think we as people are faced with these circumstances to grow and push us. And so that we can learn and so that we can share this knowledge with other people. And I feel like, for example, that's what a lot of this podcast is I've been pushed into a certain place where I can talk about my experiences with you guys and it helps me. It is therapeutic for me to talk about things on here, but it also helps you too. A lot of you out there. And I love that. That's my favorite thing. Not even getting to talk about it because honestly, it drains me. It takes me out. But what gasses me up again is that this helps people. Maybe not everything, but maybe some things that you can pull from it. You're like, yo, when you said this, man, that really shifted up my day, or that really shifted things up in how I think. I'm like, oh, cool, man. So it's not for nothing. Like this is what this is. This is what this is. Accepting these changes and putting myself through these difficulties is helping me to walk myself and other people through their difficulties and through their processes. So again, I think the importance of accepting the change is heavy. It's really, really heavy. But when you start to accept that and you explore how you yourself reacts to change, you start to learn how resilient you truly are. What it is that you can endure. The things that you never thought that you could endure, you end up enduring. And hopefully you come out on top. There are certain people that unfortunately, they don't come out on top, right? They don't. And some of them choose a really ugly way out. But no matter what, you are so capable as a person, as a being, as a soul. You are so capable of enduring even the worst possible things. Death, loss, anger, anything of the sort. You are so capable of walking through that and then some. You have to give yourself the chance and be patient and be loving and be understanding with yourself. And you'll see how strong you come out on the other side. Because you just gained all these tools, you gained all this experience, and you're going to be able to carry that and also give it to other people, which in turn makes you even stronger, makes you even, it brightens your light even more because your reach just expanded, you know? So I think there's a lot of power in the acceptance of change. And then the next thing is the acceptance of like mental health issues, the stigmas around mental health, the importance of accepting it, supporting those who are dealing with those sorts of challenges. And for myself, I think I've been around mental health, just like not issues, but I've had to deal with mental health from a very, very young age. I started experiencing depression when I was a kid. I didn't know what it was. And then eventually when I started going to doctors and talk to them about certain things, they're like, oh yeah, shit, this is what it is. Anxiety. I started having anxiety when I was a kid. I didn't know. I remember I used to feel, one of the first things that I started feeling with anxiety was I used to go into my mom's room. And I'm talking about a kid, like little, like 7-ish years old, probably maybe even before. But I remember going into my mom's room and just being like, I feel like there's like people are like yelling in my head, and like the yelling is just getting louder and louder and louder. And it would be after like stressful situations. I'd be trying to go to sleep and I would start thinking, and it would just rush me and it would take me out. So for myself personally, my battle with mental health has been for a very, very long time. And thankfully I've been able to stabilize certain things and get a grasp on a lot of it. But there are still certain issues, of course, I think I will deal with for the rest of my life. But I think it's just getting myself the tools so that I know how to address certain things. I know how to fix certain things, how to kind of manage the stresses of it all, and like to keep the building from collapsing, if that makes sense. Because I'm trying to build a foundation. I think as we grow and as we get older, that's what we're constantly having to do, is just redo our foundation, because things are starting to change. Like codes are starting to get updated, right? It's like when you buy a house from, let's say, 1950, and all of a sudden you have to bring it up to code. You buy it today. There's so many things that have to be brought up to code: electrical, plumbing, foundational things, yeah, everything, right? Heating, AC. We literally experience the exact same thing as people. You have to constantly rebuild your foundation and constantly make sure that you yourself have a ground to walk on. Because eventually, if you start to ignore everything, you're going to fall apart. You are going to fall apart. I can guarantee you that. Ignoring issues and ignoring things that you think about, that you feel, I promise you, is going to get you nowhere. And is it difficult? Yes. It is the worst possible thing sometimes to have to face what you need to do and what you need to fix. But I promise you, once that is getting fixed, and once you start to gain and build your toolbox up, you're going to tell yourself, shit, I wish I would have jumped into this sooner, you know? And even, you know, with that, I've had to deal with it with my family as well. Like I've watched my grandma go through depression. I've watched my mom go through it for a very, very long time. So I've gotten to see it from multiple aspects, and I understand how important it is and how gentle I have to be with them, with myself, and how supportive I need to be of myself and of them as well, of the people around me, my friends, things like that. Like I have a friend of mine right now. She has 2 kids, husband, and she's going through it. She's going through it in the heaviest way. She's going to therapy. She's trying to work on herself. She's trying to deal with all these things. And of course, because life doesn't stop, it's constantly piling on top of her, but she's redoing her foundation every single day. She's getting out of bed and she's trying every single day. And her husband is supportive. I am supportive. Her kids, even though they're very, very young, like very, very young, they know it too. I know that they feel something, and they know when they have to really be there, and they know when they need to be gentle and chill out and do their certain, kind of go about life a certain way. But the importance of supporting the people around us, I can't even explain how heavy that is. And, you know, I think also I mean, I talked about some of the stigma last week, right? In the 2-year, when it comes to like men's mental health and things like that, because it's no joke. It's no joke for anyone, for any person to deal with this. But I know for this, especially because there is a pretty heavy male audience, a lot of men don't want to talk about their issues. They don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to talk about anything personal. And that's fine. It's your journey. If you want to carry that, you want to stay in the dark about it, totally cool. It's up to you. It's your prerogative. But I think constantly talking about how it's okay to do that. It's okay to talk about your feelings and express yourself. And that's what's going to strengthen everything. It's going to strengthen the person. It's going to push them further out in a good way, because you have the latter, which is really sad. And I have lost a couple friends to suicide. And that's the really dark side of it, right? They don't feel that they can get out. They don't feel that they're ever going to get out, and that's the only way out. And like yesterday was World Mental Health Day, right? And I tried to share and post certain things on my Instagram about it, because the importance of the smallest things is what matters. Like checking on your homies and sending a quick message and saying, hey, what's up? Thinking about you. You never know what that thinking about you, quote unquote, that thinking about you text will do to them. Maybe it brightens their day. Maybe it makes them smile. Maybe it makes them think twice about what they're about to do. So it's all of that. But I think as a society, it's still really tough. And there's still a major stigma, especially within the Latino community. I can speak from personal experience, because both, men and women who are within this community, anyone who identifies as Latino, deals with this, and how wild it is, because there are still so many people from an older generation who were born, in the 50s and the 60s and things like that, even before, who think that like therapy and feelings are a bunch of bullshit and it's all fake and it's all nonsense, right? But then again, those exact same people believe in things that other people would look at as bullshit, like the power of candles and the power of prayer and all this. And it's like, well, how can you believe that that stuff is real, but you can't identify that what I'm feeling right now is you're telling me this is fake, that I feel super sad and I'm fucking out of it and I don't want to leave my room, that's all fake? You're just telling me, guys, I just need to get my ass up and go to work? Like, no, because you decided to feel that way a majority of your life doesn't mean that that's the right way to go, because look at how it made you. Look at where you ended up. You see, there's so many parents out there that can't even tell their kids that they love them. They can't even show them affection. And I get that we all show love differently. I get that. But there is to me, I think there's a certain level of an issue being present when you can't look at your kid and be like, hey, I love you. Hey, you're the best. Hey, you're everything. Like, I appreciate you. There's literally parents out there who can't do that. That's a problem. And that's just me. That's me personally. That's my opinion. I know some people are probably going to disagree with that, but it is what it is, man. I think not showing your emotions fucks it all up. Because again, I've had friends for example, with their dads. Like, dude, my dad's never said that he loves me. My dad's hugged me maybe like once or twice in my life. And I'm like, oh shit. It's like, yeah, he's always provided. He's always been that person, he's a cool cat, but he doesn't know how to be affectionate. He doesn't know how to show love. He doesn't know how to anything. And it's like, damn, that's really sad. So I know for myself on that level, with the experience the experiences that I have had, those are definitely going to shift the way that I am. That's why I feel like for myself, I always have so much love to give. Not that I wasn't loved enough, because I was definitely shown an insane amount of love, especially from my mom and my grandma. So I have a lot of love to give, but I've also endured an insane amount of pain, an insane amount of like wild shit. And maybe that's why I have so much love to give, because of that. And I never wanted to give into the other side and like just hide everything. So I've always been very emotional ever since I was a kid. And it just got worse as I got older. And as I started to accept myself more as like being this person, as being emotional and being, empathetic, it's made me so much more vulnerable. And like we talked about it last week too, about like when Albert was asking me, how is it hard to drop the veil? Now it's not hard. But back then, I think it was a lot harder because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to formulate my thoughts. I didn't know, not that I know how to formulate them now, because I'm far from that, but I am doing much better now than I was then. I can express myself way better now than I could then. I could express myself better now than I could even a year ago. 6 months ago. But it's because I'm willing to put in the work on myself. I want to be better for me. Because if I am better for myself, I can give a better version to everyone else around me. And I can be this person that I have in my head. I can literally be that. And I think we just have to be kind. We have to be kind. We have to spread light. We have to spread love. Because there's so many people who are having this really dark battle in their head. And dude, sometimes your demons get really loud. They get really, really loud. And sometimes they're too loud. And at the same time, sometimes they win. And if we can prevent that and just constantly spread something good, people will start to understand the importance of that and how accepting mental health for being something legitimate is very important, and for being supportive of people who are dealing with a mental health journey and just saying, dude, like, I'm proud of you. Yo, like, that's what's up. Go for it. Keep pushing, keep pushing. Because I know for myself, putting my journey out there has changed a lot of my friends' perspectives on therapy, because so many of them, for example, were shocked that I was in therapy because they didn't know that I was going through it, or they didn't know what was going on. And I was like, yeah, dude, like, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay. And I need to go to therapy. And that's why I'm in it. That's why I'm listening to these people. That's why I constantly am doing this self-work. And it's like, because I want to be better. And now, once I opened up about that journey, the amount of people that are supporting me currently in that journey is insane. From family to friends, everyone has been so, and it's not that I was scared that they wouldn't support me, but they've been so supportive. And it's like, yo, keep going. Keep going. Like, I see the change. I see how different you are, but in a good way. Like, I see how much more gentle you've become. Not that I was aggressive before, but they're just like, you're so different. And I don't know, maybe some of you have noticed it too, even as we talk on this podcast, like, compared to the way things were, compared to the way they are right now. Because, I mean, granted, this has been running for 2 years, not a consistent 2 years. It's been consistent, since March? But I'm sure people can see the change. But again, I know I've heard it. I've heard my friends tell me themselves in person, on the phone, via text, anything. So I know that my journey is putting me on a good path. And I know it can do the same for other people too. But again, I think it's kind of killing that stigma and making it okay. And that sharing your emotions and sharing your feelings makes you a stronger person. It doesn't make you weaker in any way, shape, or form. It makes you stronger. And I think one of the last things I want to talk about was accepting failure, because failures and setbacks, that's what helps you grow. Having that resilience, that's what pushes you, right? That's what pushes you. It's like, for myself, I know a lot of you can probably relate. It's like, I'd rather try it and fail than not try at all, because not trying it at all that shit's going to kill me. It's going to kill me, because I'll sit there and I'll think about it forever. I should have tried. I should have done this. I should have went there. I should have done that. And I think a part of that failure too, it's with everything that you do, whether it's a new skill, whether it's a sport you want to play, whether it's career, whether, you know what I mean? Like, trying to get a job and maybe it didn't work out, or you tried it for a while and but I don't know, something happened and it didn't work out, or a relationship and it failed. And for some people, I guess it depends, especially on that front, on the love front, right? Because the whole failure of love is really heavy. But I think if you give it your all and you try as hard as you can, you leave everything on the table, there's nothing else you could have done. And even if it didn't work out, you still have the peace of telling yourself, I tried. I didn't just let it go. In that peace, there's a lot of pain in that sometimes, especially with that specific thing, right? Like relationships. And it's not just romantic, it's everything. Friendships, with family, all of it. You can invest so much and it can still fail. And I've experienced all three of those things. From the family standpoint, I've done it. I've put so much time, so much effort, so much of every single part of me, and I still failed. And it's not even that I failed, it's that the situation, the relationship failed. So I've done that. I've fallen down career-wise. Things have failed. Things have come to an end. And the relationship side, that's my most recent, for sure. Definitely my most recent, where I have to accept what the situation is, but I put every fucking ounce of me into that. And I don't regret it. I would do it again in a heartbeat, to be honest with you. I know some of you are like, that's fucking insane. Why would you do that to yourself again? I would do it because of what I know now, how strong I am, what I can endure. And just because you endure things, or that you can endure things, doesn't mean you should put yourself through it. But I would, especially for love. I think that's the number one thing, because of the type of person that I am, because of being a hopeless romantic. It's like, dude, I'd put myself through the fire again and again and again. Because that's just how I am. I love too hard. I love too deeply. And I never want to change that. Never. And I know with my last situation, I put everything that I had into it. Every fucking thing. Everything. Because when it came to an end the first time, I feel like there was pieces missing, and that part always killed me. Not that I didn't try hard enough, because I did try really hard, but I didn't know what I know now. So knowing what I knew now, and that there was this, not like, I guess, a second chance to a certain extent, but like the door had opened again, I tried even harder, 10,000 times harder, because it's okay. That's just what I do. It's what I wanted. I wanted to do that, and I had to do it for myself. Because if something were to happen, I always told myself, if something were to happen and this doesn't pan out the way that I want it to this time, I want to know that I tried. And I put every ounce of me into it. I put it all on red, and I lost. And sometimes you put it all on red and you lose. And that's okay. You walk, you accept it for what it is, and you grow and you try to become stronger. I say try because it's a process. I have my days that I can walk, and I have certain days I need to crawl, and I have certain days I just can't. I can't fucking move. But accepting those failures, accepting those downfalls, eventually set you up onto something better. Or they set you up onto a different path. It might not even be better, that it's better for you, but it's just a different path. Certain things might be. I do think that certain things are definitely meant. You are meant to experience and go through better things. But there is such a major feat in accepting that pain, and that things didn't work out, whatever it was, whether it's professional, again, romantic, familial, with a friend. But it teaches us, and we grow, and the skin gets thicker, and our experience and our knowledge grows. And we couldn't ask, as people, we couldn't ask for much more, because we're always, again, I think we're constantly learning every single day. And sometimes even those little lessons, those little lessons start to stack up. And this is a part of it. This is a part of that game. It's the game of acceptance. And we will play this game of acceptance for the rest of our lives. The rest of our lives. There will never be a day that you will, or a period of time that you will not have to accept things, and that you will not have to just walk with it. But I promise you, upon accepting those things, it will help you mentally, it will help you physically, it will help you emotionally. And the amount that you give to your personal growth, you can't even put a number on that. You can't put a scale on that, because it would break it. It would constantly break it. Every single day you will grow. Every single day you will learn. Every single day you will experience things that you possibly never thought you would experience. Even if it's very, very small things. Even if you heard something, you're growing. You learned. That was something that you didn't hear, that you've never heard before. And who knows, again, maybe through this episode, maybe some of you will have that moment and say, shit, I got to just accept it for what it is. I got to just walk through whatever this is. And that's it. That's all you got. That's all you can do. It's not it is what it is, but it's all you can do. You've just give it everything you have. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Pick back up, walk forward. Pick back up and walk forward. That is the best thing for you, I promise. Even if you feel like you can't. Be easy. Trust me. You'll get there. Eventually you're going to stand up, and eventually you're going to take a step. And honestly, I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know it was a heavier episode. I'm sure a lot of you are probably like, dang, I didn't know it was going to go like that. But this is a very heavy subject. I think the subject of acceptance gets overlooked constantly, and it shouldn't, because we all face it differently to different levels and all that, because having to swallow those pills, even though I've talked about it in that way, right? Having to swallow pills you don't want to swallow. It's tough, but when you do, man, sometimes you realize that you're like, shit, this is what I needed. This is what I needed to level up. This is what pushed me over to go this way. This is what pushed me over to go that way. So there's beauty in the breakdown. For sure. I think there's beauty in the breakdown. And for my bit of advice for this week, this is inspired by one of my homies, Lisette. And I think it was inspired by her and also like Mental Health Day. And it was, to reach out to your friends, check up on them, make time to spend with the ones that you love, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what people are dealing with. You never know what people are going through. And I think a simple text like, hey, what's up? I hope you have a great day. I think that can really change things for people, because maybe they need it. If you're thinking about someone, let them know. Let them know. You'd be surprised. Because I've had homies hit me up before and be like, yo, dude, I had you on my mind. Super random, but I hope you're doing all right. I hope you have a great day. And I'm like, what? That's wild. Like, they didn't even know how much I needed that right now. And somehow I got it. Somehow you were compelled to hit me up and say something like that. So be that. Be that love. Be that light. What we always talk about on the show. Always be a beacon for that. Be a beacon for good. Spread that. If you think about someone, let them know. If you love someone, let them know. If you care for someone, let them know. Show them. There's so many ways that you can express love and care and all these things, right? Give the people that you care for a hug, because that shit can make a difference too. I've gotten hugs before where I'm like, I feel like everything's falling apart, and I've had a friend when we're kicking it, can I give you a hug? Yeah. And there's something about that, the power in that. So trust me, just do those things. Do those things, just be an advocate for that. Reach out to the homies, tell people that you love them. Because that's what's going to shift stuff up. That's what's going to make people start to see and experience light. Because I feel like not enough people experience light and love. And it's sad. So even if you get one person like that today, after you listen to this episode, text somebody. Call them. Shoot them a DM on Instagram, whatever. However you talk to people, however you interact with different people, do that. Do that. Because just fucking do it. Just do it because I'm telling you to do it, damn it. Like, you're going to go make somebody's day better, and they're going to smile, and they're going to appreciate you. And that's all you got to worry about. That's all you got to fucking do. It's that simple. But I thank you guys. I appreciate you for all your love, your support in these past 2 years. And again, I hope to continue seeing you for another 2 years, and that we can grow this into something absolutely amazing. So thank you guys, and I will catch you on the next one.